Hello, people of YouTube, how are you all doing? I'm back again. This time I'm going to be doing a collection video focusing on the PlayStation 1 this time. So I've got my little pals with me today. Got Cammy and got Boy who's going to be in my way because I'm going to be needing to stand on this chair to get all the way up here to have a look at my PlayStation 1 games. So, right, let's see if we can get this done then. Okay. First up, we've got a few little filler titles, but first up that's worth a bit of note is Alien Trilogy. Such a good game. Played this when I was a kid on the Saturn actually, but still worth getting on the PlayStation. Next up, Alundra and Alundra 2. These series of games are like an action RPG, a bit like Zelda. So, yeah, still not got around to playing them yet, but I will do eventually. I'll probably play Alundra 1 because I've heard Alundra 2's not quite as good, so I might just complete the first one and then just try the second one. Okay, next up in the collection, I've got Animal Football. Now, this one looks like a bit of filler. Well, it probably is, really. Realistically, it should be, but I bought this one for £1 at Play Expo. I knew about it mainly because it's a Phoenix game and I had the PlayStation 2 version. But what I didn't know is this actually goes for around 100 to 200 quid. So that £1 is probably one of the best £1 I've ever spent, especially at Play Expo. But yeah, so next up, Barbie Explorer. This actually looks quite interesting. I've not played it yet, but it's sort of like a Tomb Raider Barbie game. So yeah, won't mind playing that one day. Right, so first of many double case PlayStation 1 games. I don't know if many of you know that I'm actually going for a double case full set for PlayStation 1. Obviously, it's nice to have these collection goals as well as gaming goals, and for me these double cases kind of interest me. It gives me something to strive for, something to like actually go for in collecting rather than just, as I say, buying games just to play sort of thing. So yeah, there's quite a few tricky ones to get, and then we've got something like this called B-Movie, which is that ridiculous. I just needed to get it. Again, not played that one yet, but one I have played quite a lot as a kid is Buster Groove and the sequel, Buster Groove 2. This is just like a rhythm game where you don't, it's not for a dance mat or anything like that, but it's a button pressing game. But yeah, there's a song on there, a Capiera song, which is ingrained into my memory up until this day. And yeah, any collection needs to have Buster Move 2, Buster Move 4. Need to get rid of this silver case though. It's letting the collection down. Yeah, so oops. Chronicles of the Sword, which is again another double case game. Signosis game as well, so another interesting one to get. I actually thought this was an RPG, but it looks a bit like an FMV sort of type game. But yeah, next up, Contra. Now, I think this gets quite a lot of stick. I've only played a little bit of this, but what I have played is quite good. And I can't remember, did I get the 3D glasses or not? No 3D glasses, no manual. I need to sort that out. What have I got this for? Right, so the good thing about these videos is you get to know what you need still. Oh, I'm doing a bad job of this. Right, so next up, Cool Board is free. This game series is one that I played as much as I did Tony Hawk when growing up. The music on it was incredible. Go back now, it's really hard to play, but compared to like something like Tony Hawk, but it's so many memories, like just racing down the slopes with my friends, trying to get a better time, but like do some crazy tricks and try and get a good time. So yeah, good times. Courier Crisis. Obviously, this is the cheaper version to get if you're going to get it, as the Saturn one goes for astronomical prices. Crash Team Racing, one that a lot of people go on about and say is like a proper Mario Kart beta, but I never actually played this as a kid. It's something I only played when I started collecting for the PlayStation 1, really. Obviously I knew about it, but it just wasn't on my radar. Crash Bandicoot, another double case game, but more importantly, a Crash Bandicoot game, and one I used to love as a kid, but I can remember I played 1, played 2, and then I never really played 3 because I just felt like there was just doing the same with the series. Like, it just felt like it was getting rehashed too much. But I found love for him later on in life. So, yeah. Next up, CT Special Forces. Right, this one, I've not actually played this yet, but I am really looking forward to it. I got it because it's sort of like a Metal Slug game. I believe a bit more tactical version of a Metal Slug game. So, really intrigued to playing that one. Next up, Crisis Beat. Look at that cover. It's great. This is a sort of like a 3D version of Streets of Rage. So, but like this has got 2 covers, and one of them has just white borders on it. And this, I would say, this is the one to get really, because the white border one, it just hides most of that cover. So it took me a while to find this one, like as this cover. So I'm glad I have finally got it. D. Oh, this is upside down. So this is like a sort of like a horror, sort of FMV, sort of survival horror game. So looking forward to playing that one day, because that's the kind of games I like playing. And Doom, you've got to have Doom. Got to have Doom in a collection. So not as good as the PC port, which is the one I played as a kid. Like I always used to diss all the console ports because it just wasn't. How could you play it when it's not? Well, it doesn't run as smooth, doesn't sound as good. You've not got a keyboard and mouse. Nowadays, that would be the one that I would go to, because I don't think I could do keyboard and mouse anymore. Right, next up, I'm going to have to move along. 2 seconds. So, Death Trap Dungeon by the guys that did Tomb Raider, and by Ian Livingstone, who did all like them Choose Your Own Adventure style books. So this looks really interesting. Again, a bit like a Tomb Raider, another type of Tomb Raider kind of game. But one I heard about as a kid but never really played. Dino Crisis, obviously everyone knows about that one, like Resident Evil, but on with dinosaurs. Die Hard Trilogy, another one of everyone's favourites. Disruptor, which is the mother of all shoot 'em ups, it says, but it's a first-person shooter. It's one of the first, I suppose it'll be one of the first games that's called themselves a shoot 'em up, which is a first-person shooter. But yeah, again, double case game. I had played it as a kid. It interested me, but that was as far as it went, really. Evil Dead, Hail to the King. Love Evil Dead. I've not actually played any of the Evil Dead games, but I have actually been told they're actually pretty good. So can't wait to crack into that. Get into a bit of a theme here. Not games I would love to play. Fear Effect. I've heard a lot of good things about these two. So yeah, I wouldn't mind playing these. Got these down at a holiday in Cornwall, actually. That was pretty cool, like a little market over there. Final Doom, another great game. So next up, the Final Fantasy games. Now, I used to play, like, I can't remember what it was called on the Super Nintendo, but it was like Final Fantasy USA for the Super Famicom anyway, which is basically the basic, easy to play Final Fantasy, and it never really grabbed me. But when I was growing up, I was a Sega Saturn boy. That's what I got. I had that like pretty much around the launch window. But all my friends got PlayStations. Obviously, they was a bit cheaper for everyone. So everyone went for that one, and I was stuck there with my Sega Saturn, which I was loving, absolutely loved. So it was good. Like, we went over and like played each other's consoles. But when you was growing up, you needed to swap games to sort of like afford to have like a hobby sort of thing. Like you would say, all right, I've got this game, can I swap it for that game? And you'd go home for the weekend and play it on your own. So I had to get I swapped my Sega Saturn for a PlayStation because this game was coming out, and I saw it and I was like, "There's nothing on the Sega Saturn like this," and I was like, "I need to get Final Fantasy VII." It just blew my mind. So yeah, I got that, and after that, like you was able to copy games after that. Just it seemed around the same time, and I got my PlayStation chipped, which was another reason why it was like so good to have had a PlayStation. And my local comic book store, you had a little back area that you went into, and he had a big list of games, and he would just copy them for like £2, I think, a disc, which is a lot of money back then. But that introduced me to RPGs, like as a whole. Like I played Final Fantasy VI for the first time on a copied backup, and I played what's it called? Chrono Trigger. Played Chrono Trigger for the first time on a copied backup for the PlayStation, because although it never came out in England, it came out in America as a Final Fantasy 2-disc set sort of thing, and I never knew about it or anything. I never knew it was a Super Nintendo game until like much later in collecting, and yeah, I was blown away. I played so many crazy Japanese games because that comic book guy had so much like interesting stuff, all from America, all from Japan. Blimey, I would love to know some of the games that I played, but yeah, obviously a lot of the stuff I can't remember from what I played even in English stuff. But yeah, never mind Japanese. But yeah, some interesting times growing up with the PlayStation, I tell you. But yeah, so anyway, another double case game, one that I actually played as a kid, Firestorm, which is an interesting game, but it's not great. Fantastic Journey. Now this is a pinball game, like it's pretty cool, pretty interesting. I love all these pinball games and everything. So yeah, G Darius, I mean, great game. Not the best of the Darius, but yeah, it's not bad, not bad. Hang on, Galerians, which is another survival horror game. Oh, gotta be careful here. Survival horror. Gikaido, which is another one of these sort of like side-scrolling beat-em-up games, but done in 3D. But this one's not too bad, actually. I liked it. There was a mechanic where you had to press like a shoulder button, and I should have read the instructions because I got to the last boss and died. Played it again, found out about the shoulder button, and then I was like breezing through it, and I was like, I can't be bothered to play this again. Guardians Crusade, an RPG that is looks pretty good, it looks quite interesting, but unfortunately it's stuck in the cellophane at the moment. The seal, it's my only seal PlayStation 1 game. Never mind, I'm sure I'll get around to playing that one day. Gundam Battle Assault 2. Now this one is like another Super Famicom game, which is like a Gundam fighting game, which a lot of people seem to know about, but I never knew about this. I don't think a lot of people know about the fighting one that came out on the PlayStation. So yeah, one's very highly recommended, really. So yeah, next up, let's move along. So a couple more double-cased games there. Heart of Darkness, a lot of people love that. Hell Knight, which I've just recently picked up, which another survival horror type game. And In Cold Blood 2, which spawned a few sequels on the PlayStation 2. I think it's Forbidden Siren, and then there's one on the PlayStation 3 as well. I believe so. Anyway, I might be wrong. Everyone can let me know. Incredible Crisis, which is a cool like Japanese style sort of, I don't know, sort of like action game sort of thing. Well, I think it's like again, I think it's it made a few sequels on PlayStation 2. I think it's called SOS over here, but I think it's basically a disaster report and stuff like that, I think. But I think this one's a bit more like a sort of like a mini game style one. If you're a Amiga lover, you obviously know what this is. IK Plus. I mean, it needs to be had, really. I mean, the music on that, again, another thing that's just etched into your mind. Another great RPG. Played this as a kid. I don't think I actually completed this one, but yeah, it was quite good. I need to get around to playing that again one day. Well, that was nearly a bit of a disaster. But yeah, so next up, another double case one, but another interesting RPG. Another one that started a bit of a sequel thing happening. This started like Shadow Hearts on the PlayStation 2. So there's 3 of them on the PlayStation 2. I think this is a precursor to it all. Next up, a great platformer game. Everyone knows what this one is. So basically it's like a 2.5D sort of platformer. So really good game. Not completed that one, but I've completed the second one. And if you've got that, you need to obviously have a beach volleyball game. And I just remember growing up having so many of these beach volleyball games from, like I say, that comic book guy. I think on the PlayStation 1 era, especially in Japan, if there was a famous series or something, they would have a beach volleyball game. But yeah, so next up we've got Loaded. I mean, everyone knows what this is, but just look at that cover. I mean, look at it, it's great. Another one of the reasons why I just love collecting. It's not just the games, it's the actual artwork on everything as well. And again, talking about artwork, look at this. I mean, you wouldn't think straight off that this is a Lemmings game, but yeah, it's one of the Lemmings, and he's going around in a platform style action game, so a bit like sort of like Flink and Rayman, like crossed together, like the artwork from Flink, but like a bit more like a Rayman style like kind of game. But yeah, another game I've not actually got into playing yet, which is Medieval 2 and Medieval 1 obviously, which I've not got, but for some reason I've got this cool postcard. I don't know where it's come from. Obviously I got it with the game, but yeah, try Medieval 2, Twisted Adventures and Horror. I love this kind of stuff, like all the sort of advertisements that come with the games from back in the day. So I suppose in any PlayStation 1 collection you need to have Metal Gear Solid, and a revolutionary game back in the day. Mickey's Wild Adventure, which this one's quite interesting to get. This one's actually quite hard to get because it's double case, but it actually has the music CD included in this copy. So really happy to have that one, because as I say, it's not the easiest to find like as that pairing. I would open it up, but I think I've shown it on a previous pickup video. So if you want to see the CD, I suppose go back to that. Oh dear. Tekken 3 Collector's Edition. Now, I don't know why this is called a Collector's Edition. I think this came free in a magazine. So I think I don't know what you get to play on that one. But yeah, it's quite interesting to have. I like it. Mortal Kombat 3, I had this as a kid. Oh my goodness. I love these cardboard case boxes that came out. It's such a shame that these didn't take off. I mean, just a feeling of, I think I used to, when I was a kid, I used to open and close this box 70k times just because it felt so satisfying, like the air just like kind of getting pushed out every time you closed it. But yeah, so I got Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Now this is just the budget release. I think I got this from a charity shop, but that's just on standby until I find a double case box one on that one, which I will do one day. Right, next up, Amiga Boost, which is sort of like an on-rail sort of shooter, and looks real fun. Like, I think that's a lot of people's underrated list. One Piece Mansion. I thought this was One Piece as in the cartoon, but I think it's a totally different thing. Porsche Challenge in one of these smaller cases. Like, if you can just see there, I mean, a lot of people, most people know about these, but yeah, these are just a little bit shorter than the other ones. But yeah, I remember this on a demo disc, and I used to play the hell out of that. Back in them days, I used to love like these PlayStation 1 races and just shaving off seconds and seconds of time. But yeah, I just got one with the mechanics on this one on the demo disc and played the hell out of it. When it came out onto actual release, they seem to have changed the mechanics a little bit, and I just frustrated me. I was like, I can't play this. It's not the same as the demo. It's rubbish. Yeah, I was a bit picky back in there. Well, I suppose I still am. Next up, Psychic Detective. Right, this has got no manual in it because the manual is that big. I actually can't close it in here. The guy that I bought it from actually said he doesn't know how to do it either. He's had a couple of them, and he says they all seem to be the same. So if anyone owns this and knows how to get that bloody manual in here, let me know, because it's frustrating me being separated. Psychic Force. Now this is a really strange, like, sort of like flying beat 'em up game. I suppose like it's more common now in the Dragon Ball kind of games, but I suppose I've never seen anything like that back in those days. Parappa the Rapper. I mean, yeah, everyone needs Parappa the Rapper in their lives. I mean, kick, punch, it's all in the mind. I've also got that on the PlayStation 4, like, re-release. Like a HD master that's takes on the power of the PlayStation 4 Pro, it says on the box. Don't know how. Parasite Eve 2, like, I never actually played this as a kid. This is only something I knew about later on. And it's very interesting. It's sort of like, again, a lot of people know about this. It's sort of like a RPG styled Resident Evil. Mainly, I suppose it's sort of actiony turn based. And you can upgrade things that makes it RPG, but very much focused into like more like a Resident Evil style look sort of thing. But yeah, very good. But I couldn't complete it. Got a bit frustrating near the end. Next up, Parodius. Love this game. I probably said this on a lot of videos, but yeah, played this as a kid on the Super Famicom, and I just fell in love. Just the cute 'em up style graphics on it. Just love it. Next up, another double case cheapo game to add to the collection. Raiden Project, a great shooter for the system. It's just Raiden Project, Raiden games 1 and 2. So really good value on that one, really, if you think about it. So right, I'm starting to ache now. Reloaded, not as good as the first one, but I mean the graphics. The cover art on that is, you just need to show it off like that, I think. And Ridge Racer Type 4. And Resident Evil and Ridge Racer, classics of the series. Again, I thought I had this double case one, but obviously not. Let's have a look at the front cover on that one. Been a while since I've looked at that one. What is it? So it is just the same, but yeah, I need to have the double case on that one, so I need to find an upgrade shortly. I forgot about that. Right, next up, let's go along. Space Jam. I used to play this so much growing up. I used to love Space Jam during that time. I think I actually played, mine was the Saturn version that I played growing up, but it's there for now. So Shockwave Assault, another. This one looks quite interesting. It's sort of like a space shooter with the FMV sequences, which was quite popular back in them days, and quite interesting to play now. Very amusing. Next up, we have Silent Bomber. Now this one I've heard is on quite a lot of people's hidden gem sort of lists. Sort of a bit like Contra, over the head, a bit like Loaded and Contra on the PlayStation 1, at least anyway. Like overhead sort of like shooting game, sort of like dual stick shooter, as people probably call them now. Something interesting. Now this was one of my first PlayStation 1 games I got because at the time when I first started collecting, it was just cartridge based games. I don't even have 360 or not. I think I might have just had a 360. And I saw this and I was like, what the hell is it? I thought it was a bootleg or something. because obviously I knew what Pocket Fighter was and everything like that, and I know Japanese are a bit absurd, but I just thought that was a bootleg, so I picked it up, and no, this is the actual cover for Pocket Fighter in Japan, and it's just so absurd. I love it. I mean, look at her. Just looks like, it doesn't look like the type of game it is. So obviously people know what this is. It's sort of like a chibi style, super deformed Street Fighter basically. So real good fun, and Street Fighter X Plus 2, which took Street Fighter to a totally different way into the 3D world for the first time. And I actually liked it. I played it at the arcades quite a lot. So I spent a lot of money on that one, really. Street Racer. A lot of people don't really say much about this game, but I actually played a lot of this on the Mega Drive, I think. And on the PlayStation 1, it was a lot better, but obviously I had to wait for the loading. But yeah, good games, actually. Good games. Talking about good games, Strikers 1945. And strangely enough, this is really cheap, and if no one owns this on the PlayStation 1, they need to go out and get it straight away, because I've got a feeling that one day that'll just spike in price. A shooter that won't spike in price definitely was this piece of shit. But as a shooter fan, you've got to have something. You got to have that to cleanse the palate, I suppose. Right, so never had these originally as a kid, but I had these growing up on the old backups, and yeah, I love these games. And played. I think I probably got all of the what do they call them, stars or something like that. Basically, all your recruits. I think I got all of them when I was a kid growing up. But I can remember Suikoden 2. I wasn't looking forward to that coming out, because to me, I felt like the graphics were getting a bit too realistic. Again, this is why I'd never mentioned it, but I never actually played Final Fantasy 9, because I thought the graphics were a bit too realistic, and I just liked the old 16-bit style, like RPG style graphics, really. Yeah, I was a sucker for them, and I still am now, really. They are my favourite styles of RPGs, really. But yeah, I played Suikoden 2 as a kid. I enjoyed it, didn't love it, and again, I don't know if it's nostalgia, but it's the same again. I've completed it now, but yeah, I just love Suikoden 1. I think I prefer the battles. They're a bit more simplistic, not the turn-based battles. Well, they are turn-based still, but like the actual battles when you fight the armies and stuff like that. Even though they're probably a bit more in depth on the second one, I still prefer it on the first one. I don't know why. Again, I think it's more of a nostalgia thing. So next up, the Tekken series. The reason why I not got Tekken 1 is because I'm still looking for it in that cardboard case. This is the same as the Mortal Kombat one I had just earlier. There's actually 4. I forgot to mention this, but there is actually 4 cardboard boxes that came out in the PAL territories like that, and I want them all. There's Mortal Kombat, and I'm just missing the Tekken one, so that'll fill that nice little space there when I get it. So hopefully we might be able to find that when we get to Revival. And another nostalgic game, Thrasher. I love this game. It was terrible. Nothing like Tony Hawk or anything like that. But what made this game so good, apart from the music, of course, was the fact that you had like ragdoll physics. So every time you fell over and like just it just looked so bizarre. And we just tried to find the most heinous ways we could throw ourselves around the place and like just make the most stupidest fall that we could do. We never really played it properly. We just played it like that. Again, with a lot of these PlayStation 1 games, I think that's how we used to play a lot of them. We used to complete them, and we used to go back and just like try and break physics, basically. We used to just try and get to points in the game that you couldn't reach you wasn't sure if you could reach, so you'd like make it a mission to reach those weird places. Another arcade favourite of everyone's, Time Crisis, so everyone knows about that, and I'm sure everyone's heard about these games. Team Raider, Yeah. um, Tony Hawk Skateboarding. Again, I mentioned that a couple of times. Spent a lot of hours on these. Still need to get the third one, obviously. And another one of the cardboard box games. And this probably is my favourite standard release game I've ever had in my life. I had this as a kid, and I'm so happy to have it again now. But yeah, so this has got like real basketball skin as the case over this front bit here, and then it's just a blue cardboard case. The rest of it like the Tekkens and the Mortal Kombats. So yeah, so happy to have this one. That's why this one is out on a pride of place, really. A few more double case ones. Pinball again, love them games. Twisted Metal, spent so many hours with my friends just battling, going around and fighting each other. So much fun. Vagrant Story, right. So I never actually played this one as a kid. I've got a crack case. But a lot, it kind of came onto a lot of people's hidden gems list, so I had to get it. And I've got to say, I don't really enjoy it. But one game I do enjoy, right at the end now, if you can tell, Vandal Hearts and Vandal Hearts 2. I need to get the first one again. But yeah, so much fun, these games. So definitely recommend getting these if you can. So I forgot to mention, yeah, these are more of a strategy RPG. So a bit different than a normal RPG, but a lot of fun. And another game I never had as a kid, but playing it now is so weird. I did see it, but I think I never really got it because it just looked so simple, and I just didn't want to waste my time on it. Whereas nowadays, you kind of look back on that kind of thing, and you overlook like the graphics sometimes, and you actually think how good actually a game is it. So it's definitely a good, interesting game. And the last of the cardboard boxes, Warhawk. I had this one as a kid as well, because I think this is one of the first games that came out. So you just got as many games as you could get, and it was quite a lot of fun. It was sort of like a space helicopter style shooter. Yeah, quite a lot of fun. There's a lot of them kind of games on the PlayStation 1. Wipeout series, everyone knows about that one. Wild Arms, I mean, I'd imagine everyone knows about this one, but again, another great RPG. Which was it? Yeah, Wild Arms 2 actually. Just to mention it again, never came out. Wild Arms 2 never came out in England, did it? But I think again that was one I actually had on the old backups. X2, a Euro shooter by Team 17. So yeah, it's very hard. That's all I can say about that game. I don't think I've really got very far on that one at all. I kind of want to like it, but because it's so hard, I just can't. And probably the next game of note to speak about is X-Files. So this is supposedly like a lost episode of X-Files, so it's sort of like an FMV style game, but very tricky to play because it's one of them that you need to know where to press things and where to go, and yeah, it's all a bit shrouded in mystery what to press. And last up, Beatmania, which again, I remember wanting this growing up as a kid for the longest time, and it was just a bit too expensive for me back in them days. But growing up, you got a bit more free money, and not only that, I think this was like £12 delivered, so you just have to get it. So yeah, that's my PlayStation 1 lot. Tell me what you think. Is there any games that I'm missing for the collection? Any games that you remember a lot as a kid from this collection? And yeah, I forgot to mention as well, I've got a lot of these games forward facing like this because, I mean, why would you not have the artwork on show if you can? And as well, it sort of like future-proofs sort of like the collection. So the more games I get, I don't have to worry about shelving space for at least a little bit anyway. I will eventually, and unfortunately they don't fit any of the PlayStation games unless you have them like sideways. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. As I say, just comment, let me know what you think, and yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.